The annual Christmas Eve lunch at my parents' house was supposed to be a time of cheer, but for me, Liam, it was a yearly performance of humiliation. My older brother, Marcus, and my mother, Eleanor, had established a narrative years ago. I was the failure who had chosen an unstable career as a freelance writer and educator, while Marcus was a success, a high-powered executive. I was always the object of their pity and constant biting advice. This year, the atmosphere was particularly tense. Marcus had just been promoted again, and Eleanor was taking the opportunity to remind me how far behind I was. The conversation revolved entirely around Marcus's new luxury car and his expensive ski trip, while every glance at me carried a weight of disapproval. The setup was perfect: a lavish table, expensive china, and a whole family gathered to observe the humiliation. I sat quietly, waiting for the inevitable moment when Eleanor would finally launch her attack. I just wanted the meal to be over. The moment arrived right before dessert. Eleanor leaned forward, her voice dropping to a loud, carrying whisper that ensured everyone at the table heard her. "Liam, darling, when are you going to stop relying on us?" she asked with a false smile. "Your father and I are getting older. We can't keep covering your rent, sending money for those business expenses, and paying for your utilities. You need a real job. You need to stop relying on the family." The accusation was shocking, even by her standards. I hadn't asked for or received any financial help in over 3 years. Every utility bill and every rent check was paid for by my own hard work. But Eleanor's truth was built on her public narrative, not reality. Marcus smirked into his glass of water, enjoying the show. I felt the blood rush to my face. The sheer injustice of the public lie was suffocating. I opened my mouth to defend myself, but Eleanor cut me off, holding up a hand dismissively. "No, don't argue, Liam. We know you're trying, but trying doesn't pay bills. Frankly, your dependence is exhausting us. You should probably just pack your things and leave today. Find your own way. Stop relying on us entirely." The cruelty was final. She wasn't just criticizing my career. She was publicly banishing me, telling me to leave her house, the only place I consider home, and find my own way. The shame was absolute. I didn't say a word. I simply stood up, placed my napkin neatly on the table, and looked directly at my mother. My silence was not defeat. It was a decision. I realized that my voice would never be heard in this toxic environment. My actions, however, could speak volumes. "Merry Christmas, everyone," I said quietly, addressing the whole table. "I hope you enjoy the rest of your meal." Then I walked out of the dining room. I didn't rush. I walked straight upstairs to the guest room, where I had been staying, and began to pack my few belongings. The sounds of the confused murmuring and clinking silverware followed me up the stairs. As I packed, I maintained a strange calm. I wasn't just packing my clothes. I was packing up the last vestiges of hope I had for a normal, loving family relationship. I stripped the bed, put the towels neatly back, and made sure the room was spotless. I was leaving them nothing to criticize, not even my packing skills. I finished packing and dragged my suitcase downstairs. I found my father, David, waiting for me near the front door. He looked immensely sad and defeated. He was a quiet one, always trying to mediate, always failing. "Liam, don't go," he pleaded, his voice low. "Your mother didn't mean it. She was just upset." "Dad," I said, putting my hand on his shoulder. "She meant every word. I haven't relied on you in years, but she needs to believe I do, to make Marcus feel better about himself. I can't live under that lie anymore. I need to be completely free of this family's influence." Dad looked down, knowing I was right. "But where will you go? It's Christmas Eve. We're all going to your sister's tomorrow." "Don't worry about me, Dad," I reassured him. "I've been planning for this day for years, just in case. I'll be fine." I gave him a quick hug and walked out the door, pulling my suitcase behind me. I got into my perfectly running, modest car and drove away from the beautiful house that no longer felt like home. I drove straight to the large, modern condo I had quietly purchased 3 months ago, paying the entire amount in full with no mortgage. The condo was a culmination of my secret, silent ascent. For 5 years, while Eleanor and Marcus mocked my unstable career, I had been diligently working on a lucrative side project, creating and licensing educational software modules for large corporations. It was a niche market that paid extraordinarily well, but it was complex and utterly boring. I kept the entire project completely secret, banking every penny. My freelance writing and teaching career was a perfect cover. It kept my income appearing low and unstable. Just enough for them to maintain their narrative, but not enough to arouse suspicion about my actual finances. I lived frugally, driving the old car, wearing simple clothes and allowing them to pity me. The condo was the first major purchase I had allowed myself. It was my secret declaration of independence. It was fully furnished, and I had stocked the fridge the day before. I was not homeless. I was finally home. The next morning, Christmas Day, was usually spent at my sister Sarah's house, an hour's drive away. I knew they would all be there, worrying about my sudden departure, but still believing I was stranded and probably heading to a friend's couch. I received a frantic text from Sarah, who was the only supportive sibling. "Liam, where are you? Mom is frantic and telling everyone you're being overdramatic. Please, just call Dad." I texted her back a short message. "I'm fine, Sarah. I'm exactly where I need to be. Tell them I took Mom's advice and stopped relying on the family." I deliberately kept my location secret. The time for the bombshell had arrived. I logged into my email and sent one single, carefully crafted message to the entire family. Time to arrive just as they were gathering for a Christmas lunch at Sarah's house. The subject line was simply, "Stopping Reliance." The body of the email was brief and pointed. It included a copy of the official tax records for my new property purchase, showing the value and the paid-in-full status. It also included a detailed 3-year financial statement showing every bill I paid, every rent check, and every utility payment, directly contradicting Eleanor's public accusations of my dependence. The final line of the email was the real punch. It was a direct quote from Eleanor's dinner table accusation. "I took your advice, Eleanor. I packed and left, and I stopped relying on the family. Now I suggest the family stops relying on me." I then hit send. I knew the silence at Sarah's table would be deafening. My revenge was not loud or emotional. It was documented, strategic, and financial. It proved that while they were judging my instability, I was quietly building absolute security. I was not the failure. I was the most financially secure person at that table. The immediate aftermath was pure chaos, exactly as I had planned. Sarah started sending me rapid-fire texts. "Liam, what is this? A condo? Did you win the lottery? Are you seriously mortgage-free? Mom just choked on her stuffing. Marcus is reading the tax record over and over. They are completely silent. You absolutely destroyed them." The news that the family failure, had secretly bought a high-value, mortgage-free property completely shattered the family's carefully curated hierarchy. They couldn't rationalize it. They couldn't dismiss it as luck. They had to confront the reality that the person they mocked was the one who was truly successful. Marcus, the golden child, was the first to react with pure, desperate jealousy. He, the high-powered executive, was heavily mortgaged on his luxury home and struggling with the massive payments on his new car. His public success was actually built on financial risk, while my failure was built on ironclad security. He called me immediately, his voice cold and accusatory. "Liam, what is this game? Where did you get that money? Did you steal it? You have to tell them it's a mistake. You're making me look bad. You're making yourself look bad, Marcus." I replied calmly. "I got the money from my unstable career. My job is boring and complex, but it pays. I suggest you focus on your own mortgage and stop worrying about mine." I hung up, ensuring he had no more information to control the narrative. Eleanor called next. Her initial reaction was not shame, but confusion and anger that her narrative was destroyed. "Liam, how dare you send such a destructive email on Christmas Day? You've ruined the lunch. And where is this property? Why didn't you tell us you were struggling?" "I didn't tell you because I wasn't struggling, Eleanor. I corrected her. I was working and saving. I kept it a secret because I knew you would try to interfere, or worse, demand control over it. You told me to leave and stop relying on the family. I did. Now, you have to live with the fact that the person you mocked is entirely self-sufficient. She tried to demand the location of the condo, claiming she needed to check on it. I refused, maintaining my absolute privacy and control. The most crucial detail was revealed in the financial statement: the 3 years of clean bills and paid rent. This proved that Eleanor had actively lied about my dependence to the entire family. Her moral superiority and judgment were exposed as nothing more than a cruel performance designed to maintain the family hierarchy. The extended family, who had all been present for her public shaming, now saw Eleanor and Marcus for who they really were: hypocrites who had been cruelly manipulating the failure brother, only to find he was a quiet master of his own fate. The aftershocks were intense. The family spent the rest of the day arguing, not about me, but about their own secrets and the financial risks Marcus was taking. The entire focus shifted from my failure to their own hidden instability. My father, David, called later that evening. He didn't ask about the money. He just wanted to know if I was safe. "Liam," he said softly, "I always knew you were smarter than all of us. But why did you wait so long?" "Because, Dad," I explained, "I needed the accusation to be public, and I needed the proof of their lies to be undeniable. I needed them to tell me to leave before I could show them how far I had really gone." The victory wasn't just financial, it was existential. I had completely broken the toxic system of control. The power dynamic, which had been fixed for decades, had completely reversed. They no longer had any leverage over me. I realized that the biggest betrayal was not the public shaming, but the years of emotional manipulation. My silence was not out of fear, but a strategic discipline. I had used their disdain as the perfect cover for my success. I spent Christmas Day in my new, beautiful home, completely alone, and it was the most peaceful Christmas I had ever experienced. I was free. The story spread quickly through the extended family. The narrative was no longer that Liam was the unreliable failure, but that Liam was a quiet genius who had strategically outsmarted his cruel, judgmental mother and arrogant brother. Eleanor tried to counter the narrative by calling family members, claiming I had been secretly gambling or had received a sudden, massive settlement. But the documented, traceable financial history I provided shut down those rumors immediately. My mastery was based on hard, honest work. Marcus tried to meet with me several times, attempting to go into business with me. I refused every time. His interest wasn't in collaboration. It was in salvaging his reputation and his finances. I sent him a short, final text. I took Mom's advice. I stopped relying on the family, and I am not available to be relied upon. Your problems are your own. I realized that the most powerful weapon against their toxicity was distance and self-sufficiency. My life, once defined by their pity, was now defined by my own quiet success. I continued to work on my lucrative software modules, enjoying the freedom of working from my beautiful home office. I had no mortgage, no debt, and no family obligation. The experience taught me the value of keeping major ambitions private. Public praise invites interference. Silent work invites mastery. I decided to create a video about my experience, focusing on the strategic power of maintaining a low-profile career as a cover for massive, quiet success. If you ever felt underestimated or mocked for your unconventional path, let my story be your blueprint. Subscribe now to learn the power of the silent ascent. The video focused not on the family drama, but on the principles of financial security and strategic patience. The drama was the proof. The principles were the teaching. I showed a brief shot of my new condo, not a boast, but to show the fruits of years of silent labor. The contrast with the meager lifestyle they thought I was living was stark. Eleanor finally admitted defeat by sending a long, tearful letter, not apologizing for the words she said at the table, but admitting she was shocked and ashamed that she had misjudged my competence. The family hierarchy was permanently inverted. I responded politely, assuring her that I was well and wished her happiness, but maintaining the firm boundary. My peace was too valuable to risk again. I realized that the holiday lunch was not a moment of defeat, but the exact moment of my liberation, perfectly orchestrated by my mother's cruel timing. I bought my father a beautiful, expensive new desk for his study, a gesture of love that bypassed Eleanor completely. showing that my success was real and my heart was still with him. He called me, his voice thick with emotion. "You are the best of us, Liam. Thank you for not turning into them." That was the only validation I needed. My quiet packing, the walk out the door, and the drive to my secret home were the 3 steps to freedom. The email was just a confirmation. I often reflect on the moment Eleanor told me to leave and stop relying on the family. She thought she was condemning me. She was actually issuing my final order for total self-liberation. I was no longer a family failure. I was a founder of my own life, built entirely on my own quiet terms. The holiday lunch became family legend. The moment the quiet brother broke the toxic system and exposed the hypocrisy of the successful ones. Marcus had to face his mounting debt, now with the added shame that his brother, the freelance writer, was financially untouchable. I gained the most important thing, the ability to live my life honestly, free from shame and manipulation. I sat down at my own Christmas dinner, just a small, simple meal in my mortgage-free condo. The silence was perfect. I had taken my mother's harsh advice literally. I left, packed, and immediately proved that I had never relied on them. My silent ascent had culminated in total, unassailable freedom. The ending was not a confrontation. It was peace.